Right guys, it is time for another rebuild challenge. Burnley currently find themselves in the relegation zone in the Premier League at the time of recording. There is going to be some weekend fixtures. Jack put in the video how Burnley got on if their game has already happened before this video comes out, which will be on Sunday. So fingers crossed Burnley can get a result, because for some reason I think it'd be really funny if Everton go down and Burnley somehow manage to survive. But we are rebuilding Burnley today, and I'm hoping that we can keep them in the Premier League and potentially achieve a few more things along the way. So let's dive in and take a look at Burnley. So guys, here is a little bit of brief history about Burnley. If you didn't know, they are 2 times winners of the Premier League trophy, or the top division in England, shall we say. They won it in 1921 and 1960. They are also 1-time winners of the Emirates FA Cup, 1914 that they won that one as well. So these are the sort of successes that we will be trying to emulate over the course of this 5-year rebuild. They have a patchy history at best. 16th in the Premier League in recent seasons, then down to 7th, up to 7th should I say, down to 15th, up to 10th, and then down again to 17th. And obviously at the time of recording, as I said in the intro, they are currently in the relegation zone in the Premier League. We will be trying to better that, and we will be trying to better that whilst playing 4-4-2. So this is 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Bassett Brilliance. Now we've not used this one for a while, so I'm really intrigued to see how this gets on with the latest update of the match engine. It is a 4-4-2, so I'm looking to see how this one does get on. Sweeper keeper, wing back on one side, central defender, fullback on attack, inverted winger, deep line playmaker, box-to-box midfielder, inverted winger on one side, a false 9, and then a advanced forward. I am lucky with the fact that I actually do have Wout Weghorst. I think he's actually going to be a really good player for us in this save, as the big striker who can score us some goals. And also another player who I think is going to be quite crucial is going to be 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. And a lot of these saves, he does leave Burnley. I am hoping that being successful means that we can keep hold of this man. As things stand though, we are about to go into our first season. I also do block the transfers in this first transfer window, so I can't do any business here, even if I wanted to. But these are the 3 competitions that we are in. We are in the Premier League, we're in the Emirates FA Cup, and we are in the Carabao Cup as well. And in terms of some of the other stuff, in terms of the club vision, shall we say, let's have a look and see how they are expecting us to get on. They want us to play direct football and defensively solid. This 4-4-2 is not exactly the most direct, but it will do a job. Fight bravely against relegation in that Premier League, reach the 5th round of the Emirates FA Cup, and reach the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. And obviously I'm not going to be judged on things too early. This is the Premier League, obviously, just before we kick off. In terms of the season preview though, we are expected to survive. We are 17th. We are predicted to finish 17th, 450 to 1, and it's just the 3 promoted teams, Brentford, Watford, and Norwich, respectively, that are below us. Can we do a job? Can we survive somehow and see what we can bring to the table? Burnley have a little bit of a patented style, and I'm potentially going to try and change that this time around. This is probably my best team as things stand. I'm hoping for a lot out of 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. Actually, is this my best team? Let's pick without restriction our best 11. Yeah, former Bristol City man Josh Brownhill comes in as that box-to-box midfielder. I'm expecting to survive. I'm not expecting to dominate the league. So let's simulate this first season and find out how we get on. So guys, the first season is in the books, and we have survived relegation from the Premier League. We have finished in 14th, which I'm actually quite happy with. It's definitely a little bit better than you probably would expect, but that form towards the end of the season, that recent form, has not held us in good stead. If we expand the Premier League, we can take a look at things. Liverpool picking up the title, which, you know, is Liverpool doing Liverpool things. Norwich, Newcastle, and Crystal Palace all relegated, and we finish above West Ham, Brentford, and Watford in that 14th position. But 43 points, we are definitely a little bit closer to that relegation zone than we are closer to those European places. Throughout the course of the season though, 11 victories, 10 draws, and 17 defeats. 59 goals scored, 74 goals conceded, and that minus 15 goal difference. But there really does need to be some work done to this Burnley team. If we go into the competitions and take a look at everything else, knocked out in the 4th round of the FA Cup by Norwich, which is little bit of a problem for a team that only picked up 18 points in the Premier League and then knocked out in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup by Arsenal. If we go onto the home screen, big 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 was the top goal scorer for us. 13 goals for him and 23 goals for him and 6 assists. So he's doing the work in this team. He's also the highest average rating, which is nice to see. And we did make some signings, but we'll talk about that in the next update. Second worst in terms of goal conceded. We need to plug this defense somehow, some way, so let's go and do it. So guys, we set about plugging these defensive holes and we've started to try and do that. Now I signed 2 players in the January of last season to try and help that. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙚 came in from Hertha for 12.5. He's got a 5-star potential. He is a young German centre-back. He's consistent. He's very, very clear and like average all across the board, and I think he could do a really good job for us. We also signed 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, who was on the transfer list from AC Milan. So we went out and picked these 2 guys up. They are both solid additions. 12.5 million for 𝙈𝙚 and 21.5 million for 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. We've then gone out and signed some other players as well. 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 is how I'm going to say this guy's name, from 𝘼𝙗𝙗. A deep line playmaker, a little bit more defensive that we could potentially use to sit and create things for us. 16 passing, 15 technique, good vision, good leadership as well. These are the sorts of players that I'm looking to try and bring into the club. We also signed Joe Rondon as well. He was on the transfer list from Tottenham, so we managed to bring him in as well. One thing I do have to say, James Tarkowski, he didn't want to sign a new deal, so we were forced to sell him in that January, and we sold him to Arsenal for 8.25 million. Didn't even recoup any of the money that we have spent on some of these other players. Aaron Lennon going out on loan as well. A couple of other things that had to happen, but Tarkowski, I wasn't going to let him leave on a free, so I had to sell him to Arsenal, and we did do that. In terms of some of the other exits though, there is some smaller stuff that's happened here, but nothing really to touch on. Tarkowski was the big one. Ashley Barnes has left the club, Phil Bardsley, etc. They've all gone. And 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 we've brought in on loan from Porto. Now I think this guy can be very good. I'm hoping he can play here as that inverted winger on the right hand side, freeing up 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 to move over to the other side, giving us a few different options in terms of the team. If we go into the tactic though and quick pick without restriction, the best 11, this is how we're looking. I'm hoping we can be a little bit more solid at the back. We've got Nick Pope in goal, obviously 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪, Collins, Rondon and Cornet as the defensive unit. Gudmundsson, Brownhill-Sione and McNeil as this midfield quartet, and then Weghorst and Jay Rodriguez up front. We are sort of lacking in the striker options, but I suppose if I absolutely have to, I can play Dwight McNeil up there as a striker if need be. I don't actually have too much money left, £1 million. I thought the defensive unit was where we were really lacking in that first season, being the worst team for goals conceded. So these are the competitions that we're in. The board expectation is actually mid-table for the Premier League. If we expand this club vision, yeah, they want us to finish in the mid-table, 5th round and 4th round respectively in the 2 cup competitions. But if we go into the Premier League and take a look at the season preview, we're only expected to finish 15th. Now, is that mid-table? For me, mid-table is probably in and around the 10th spot, as I've just noticed Kylian Mbappe has signed for Chelsea on a free transfer. That's a problem. That's a problem for the rest of the Premier League. But we are 400 to 1 to win the title. If we can finish a little bit higher up than we did last season, that is all for the good. Let's simulate the year, see how we get on, and I'll see you at the end of season number 2. So season 2 is over, and we have improved our position by 1 place. We finished in 13th, 44 points for the boys this time around. Hopefully we have addressed the goal conceded issue. We were also knocked out in the 5th round of the Emirates FA Cup by Brighton and knocked out in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup, but that was by Chelsea, so I'm not too worried about that one. We have avoided relegation. We finished in 13th, and Wout Weghorst is the 2nd top goal scorer in the Premier League behind Kylian Mbappe. If we expand things a little bit, you can kind of see 12 victories for us, 8 draws, 18 losses, still conceded 77 goals, but that wasn't the worst in the division by a long way. My Bristol City, the team that I support, 89 goals conceded for Bristol City, which is not great. Who did they beat out of curiosity? Tottenham, and they beat us at home. Great, fantastic. That makes me feel fantastic. We finish in 13th though. In terms of, if we go on the home screen, we are the 5th best in terms of goal score. We are having a good goal scoring output. We are just conceding far too many goals, which is again one of the main things we're going to have to deal with. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, the top goal scorer for the club, with 25 goals. We did make some signings in January as well. Let me touch on those. We also signed 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 from PSG. He was transfer listed, the young fullback. 16.25 million we got him for. He shouldn't be playing at Burnley, to be perfectly honest. He's come from Fluminense at PSG. We picked him up from PSG. He was transfer listed. He wanted to play more football, so we've got ourselves a nice attacking Brazilian fullback to play in Burnley. And we also signed this guy, Martin Satoriano, is how I'm going to say this dude's name. Uruguayan player. He was at Inter Milan, wasn't really playing at Inter Milan, so we brought him in to kind of help 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 in terms of the goal output, because Jay Rodriguez really just wasn't cutting it. 20 appearances for us in the Prem, 9 goals, 6 assists, so I think he's actually been a very, very good addition for us. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he can get on with another year under his belt. In terms of everything though, going into season number 3, we've got 46.8, almost 47 million pounds to spend on making this team better, but for me, guys, I need to spend it at the back. We need to get better in terms of our defensive abilities. So let's go and see what we can do. Transfer update, season 3 up next. Right, guys, we tried to get the business done as early as possible, and we have raided Benfica for a few players. We've signed Martin Neto from their B team for £7 million. A nice, well-rounded central midfielder. I think he can come in and do a nice little job, compete in a couple of different spots. He offers us a little bit of versatility, and he is only 20 years of age. He's been capped by the Portuguese under-21 team, so I think, again, he can come in as a nice little player. He's 6'1", but can also pass the ball, got good vision and stuff like that, so I think he could be a good player for us moving forward. We've also signed this guy, Tomás Araújo, is how I'm going to say his name. He is a centre-back. We signed him for relatively cheap as well in the grand scheme of the world market now. 12.5 million for a centre-back. Again, another defensive option, 21 years of age this time. The very nice, well-rounded model citizen personality as well, which is really nice. 6'2", really nice mentals for someone so young. 5-star potential. You pay for the potential a little bit, but I think he could be a good cover player. We've headed over to Serbia, to my rivals on my live save. We've gone over to Partizan and we signed Nemanja Jovic to play on the left-hand side for us. He's a natural on both the left attacking midfield and also the left midfield spot, which is ultimately where we're going to play him. He's very dynamic, good, can get up and down the field, good on both feet, which is exactly what I'm looking for, and it also frees up 𝘼𝙗𝙪 to play in a few other spots as well if totally required. We've also signed a goalkeeper, chat comment section. We've also signed a goalkeeper. 𝘼𝙗𝙪 comes in as our number 1 option. I really wanted to upgrade Nick Pope. I thought he was potentially letting us down a little bit, and this Turkish shot stopper could potentially be that for us. We signed him from Fenerbahce for 20 million, but that did mean that Nick Pope has gone. He has gone to Mainz. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of Nick Pope. When you look at him, basically, he's got everything that he needs to be better than 𝘼𝙗𝙪, but he's not, which is really, really baffling, and I don't understand why. In terms of some of the other signings, we've got this guy, Antti Palaversa. He comes in as a free transfer from Manchester City. Again, another cover option. I don't actually see this guy getting a huge amount of game time. Tiago Thomas, one of Tom FM's team of Toms, young player coming out of Portugal, again, this time from Sporting. Signed him again as another sort of striking option. I'm not expecting him to be good now, but I am expecting him to be good by the end of season 5. So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a longer term gamble with Tiago Thomas, but he has some nice attributes, has that 5-star potential. 21 years of age, again, another Portuguese player coming in. It's almost like we're pretending to be Wolves, isn't it? Maybe I should change the color of these lights to something orange. But Tiago Thomas does come in, and we've also signed Anwar El Ghazi. He's a cover option, comes in from Villa, can play on both sides. Again, I don't see him getting a huge amount of game time, but, you know, it's always good to have these cover options, isn't it? So we go into the tactic and we quick pick without restriction our best 11. This is how we're looking. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is in goal. Caligari, Collins, Kalulu, and Cornet. McNeil, Brownhill, Sione, and then Jovic comes in on that left-hand side, and Satriano alongside Weghorst. We are a big strike force, guys. I'm hoping we can get quite a few goals from this sort of thing. Weghorst, unfortunately, does have a little bit of a hernia and will be out to unfortunately miss the start of the Premier League season. If we go into the competitions, obviously we're in the same thing. The board expectation in the Premier League is to avoid relegation, and this time if we go into the season preview, 150 to 1 to win the league. So we've obviously strengthened in some key areas, but not enough to sort of warrant being in that top half of the table. 150 to 1 predicted to finish 13th. It's one better than it's one better than we finished in the first season. It's where we finished in season number 2. Let's simulate this bad boy and see if we can somehow creep into that top half of the Premier League table. And creep into the top half of the Premier League table we did. We finished actually up in 6th in the Premier League. Somehow, some way, these reinforcements have really helped us, and we've got our first positive goal difference for the first time in this save. We finish in 6th. Aston Villa, who finished down in 17th, obviously win the FA Cup in this particular season, because despite almost getting relegated, surviving somehow. How have they survived? Because their goal difference is the same. It's either goal, yeah, it's got to be goals scored, hasn't it? It has to be goal scored, surviving, and West Ham get relegated, which is a big ouch. So we finish in 6th. 17 victories, 8 draws, 13 losses, 60 goals scored, which is really nice. I'm happy with 60 goals scored, and only 55 goals conceded this time. It's a plus goal difference. It's only 5, but I don't care. We have qualified for the Europa Conference League with Burnley. What? We have qualified somehow. I don't understand. I don't understand how it's happened, but we've done it. In terms of the other competitions, though, we are the runners-up in the Emirates FA Cup final. Imagine if we'd have qualified for the Europa League. We lose to Villa on penalties, unfortunately. Who missed? Weghorst missed a penalty in the game on the 44th minute. Which would have put us in good stead, but unfortunately, despite being the better team, we lose the Emirates FA Cup final. Neto missed the penalty for us. Who is this guy here? And the youngster that we signed from Benfica. Neto missed the pen, and Aston Villa had all of theirs scored by all of their guys, which is really disappointing to be in an FA Cup final and unfortunately not come away with the trophy. But overall, you have to look at the positives of the season. We did get knocked out in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup by Rotherham, but the Premier League form and getting to the cup final, I am happy with this. Burnley fans, let me know down in the comments if you would be happy with this. I have a feeling you would be, but fingers crossed is something that is pretty good. If we go onto the home screen, though, this is how we're looking throughout the course of the season in terms of some of the other statistics. 30 goals for big Wout Weghorst. He has been a revelation for us. Also the highest average rating as well, 7.35 for him. Nemanja Jovic, the man coming in from Partizan, with the most assists for us and the most player of the matches. So yeah, we've done really well. 6th in terms of goals scored again. But now we're only the 8th worst in terms of goals conceded. We could potentially do a little bit more to try and do that and sort of make our defense a little bit more solid going into season 4, but I think this is going to cause us some troubles season 4, because if we go into the Europa Conference League, that means we've got a lot more fixtures, and I don't think I've got the squad depth to deal with this. I've got £56.9 million in the bank to try and add some squad depth to this team. Let's go through it. Let's get the summer done and see if I can make this team that little bit better to take them into Europe. Come on, Burnley. So guys, we went out and got our business done pretty quickly in terms of going into season number 4, and we've strengthened as much as we possibly can. Moussa Niakate comes in as a big towering centre-back. Now, he is 6'3". He's also got 16 jump and reach and good heading. He's also got good long throws. He's very good. He loves his big matches. He relishes big matches, and he's a consistent performer as well. He comes in, he is our best centre-back. Now, he gets the crowd going, tries long-range passes, long flat throw, brings swings the ball out of defence. He's left-footed as well, which is quite nice. High aggression, high bravery. Exactly what I wanted in my centre-back. We signed him from Rennes for £21 million. It may rise to £23 million. Probably will rise, knowing my luck. We've also signed this guy, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. Again, a cover option. I think he can play as this fullback. That's kind of where I've signed him to play, but he is bigger. 6'2". We're going old school Burnley. We're going to go set pieces. That's how it's going to fire us through. He can also play centre back as well, which is quite nice. We've signed him from Sparta Prague for £8 million, hoping he can be a nice little cover player for us. We've also signed Mady Camara from 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪. I think this is a nice little option for us as a sort of more dynamic midfield option to go alongside Josh Brownhill there in these midfield spots. Good aggression, good bravery. I like his determination and his work rate. I'm hoping that can add a little bit more of a dynamic midfield to us. In terms of some of the other outs, we've had a couple of other players go out. The most notable probably is this guy, Charlie Taylor even. He's okay, he's solid left back, but for some reason I wasn't getting the output out of him, so he has gone on a free transfer. He didn't want to stay around because I think 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 was playing more games than him at left back. If we quick pick the best team without restriction, this is how we're looking. Altay in goal, Caligari, Collins, Niakate, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, McNeil, Kamara, Sione, Jovic. Thomas is actually forcing his way into the team now, and Wout Weghorst. Thiago Thomas actually getting slightly better. I'm hoping with a good run of games this year, he can turn into an absolute problem for some of the other teams. But we're nice and deep now. I think we have enough to actually be able to combat this Europa Conference League. We're going in the 4th qualifying round. We've got Montpellier. It's one of those, right? English teams should be favoured in Europe in every single competition, I feel, just because of the money that is actually there. But Montpellier are a decent little side. Where did they finish last season in Liga, I wonder? So they finished in 6th. They did okay in Liga. We are probably the favourites, though, aren't we, to be perfectly honest, against Montpellier. So we'll be interesting to see how we get on at the very least. The board expectation is to finish inside the top half of that Premier League. If we go and expand things and take a look at that season preview, we are expected to finish 11th. The odds have been the shortest that they've ever been, 50-1 for us to win the Premier League. We are expected to finish 11th. Can we somehow get ourselves into the top half of the Premier League whilst potentially fighting a European challenge? The board expectation is 5th round for the Emirates FA Cup, 4th round for the Carabao Cup, and they expect us to reach the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League. That seems slightly ambitious to me, but let's see. Let's simulate the season and find out. So guys, it's the end of season 4 and I cannot believe what has happened. We have won the Europa Conference League. I cannot believe it. I honestly cannot believe it. And we've also finished inside 6th in the Premier League and have qualified for the Europa League for season number 5. Wout Weghorst, as you can probably see, top goal scorer for us in pretty much all competitions. First and foremost, let's touch on the competitions that we were knocked out of. 4th rounded by Chelsea in the Carabao Cup and 5th rounded by Manchester United in the Emirates FA Cup. We tick off where we were expected to get in those two, and we got dispatched by bigger teams, so I'm not too worried about it. In the Premier League, we finish in 5th, but we've got a we finish in 6th, but we've got a minus 13 goal difference. So it would appear the games we lost badly. So we've got 15 victories, 9 draws, 14 defeats, and I'm seeing, 4-0, 5-2, 4-0 against Liverpool, 4-1 against Man City, 4-1 against Leeds. So the games we lose badly, but all in all, we won more games than we lost, and we have qualified for the Europa League somehow, some way. It's because we won the Europa Conference League, but even so, it's absolutely ridiculous. We've got 4 teams in the Champions League, 3 teams in the Europa League. Man City are one of those teams in the Europa League, so that's going to be good fun for us. But minus 13 in terms of the goal difference. We definitely didn't score as many goals as we probably should have done, looking at things though. If we go into the home screen, first and foremost, Wout Weghorst, another 30-goal haul for him. Thomas Araujo is definitely growing in terms of the player that I've actually signed him to be as a centre-back. Played really well for us all season, and is now currently wanted by Watford. So let's see what happens there. Dwight McNeil, most assists. We've not actually seen an awful lot of Dwight McNeil, but again, the problem still remains. We are conceding too many goals, the 3rd worst in terms of the division in terms of goals conceded. But I know what you guys want to know. You want to know about our Europa Conference League run. So if we take this filter off and we just look at the Europa Conference League, this is how we've got on in the competition. So we qualified after beating Montpellier. We beat them 4-1 in both games. I said we were the favourite, and yeah, it kind of goes to show Montpellier didn't really stand a chance, to be perfectly honest. Look at how nice Turf Moor looks there, by the way. Woo! Very nice. Then we go into a group with 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Ferivar, and I don't even know this team. I don't know where they're from. Is that Iceland? They are from Iceland. We beat them all relatively comfortably. Some big score lines in there, 8-2, a 7-0, a 5-0. And then we lose the last group game against 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 away, but we'd already qualified out of the group at that point. Some interesting games that we have had. Slovan Bratislava, we beat them in the first knockout round, or second knockout round, sorry, because we topped our group. Then we take on Real Sociedad, probably the biggest and toughest tie in this competition that we've had. We win 2-0 away at Real Sociedad, and then draw 2-2 back at Turf Moor. But we did have a centre-back sent off really early in that one. But we managed to see it out, winning that tie 4-2 on aggregate. Then we get Bodo Glimt, another team that I play all the bloody time in my Red Star live save, which if you've not seen, come and check it out on the channel. We're live a couple of times a week with that one. We beat them 3-0 at home and then 4-1 away. Really nice result there. Thiago Thomas looking like the player that I've signed him for. He really has developed over the course of season number 4 and is now wanted by Villa, Leeds, Watford and Wolves, but he won't be going anywhere. And then in the final, guys, we take on Fenerbahce, which is an interesting tie. If we expand this and we can take a look, Nemanja Jovic, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 and Thiago Thomas, all with first half goals, all inside the first half hour, see us go through and lift the Europa Conference League trophy. 22 shots for us, 10 on target, nice solid XG. We're doing really well there. We restricted Fenerbahce to not really many chances, and we go through and we lift the Europa Conference League trophy, meaning we'll be in the Europa League for season number 5, which is absolutely ridiculous. Let's get through it. We've got some finances. We've got just under 46 million pounds to spend on this team to somehow compete in the Europa League. Can we do it? Let's find out. Right then, guys, you know this point of the video. If you stick around in the rebuilds long enough, this is where I ask you to say something down below in the comment section to let me know that you guys are still here. If you could please comment down below, I miss Sean Dyche. Now, Sean Dyche for me is the epitome of Burnley, and I really miss him in the Premier League. I miss his interviews, I miss his face, I just miss it all. So put down below if you are still here going into season number 5, I miss Sean Dyche. Boom, let's get it. Let's get into season number 5 because we've been busy in the transfer market. We've only signed 2 players. Dennis Mann comes in from Fiorentina, 14.25 million pounds for Dennis Mann. He is, I believe, Romanian international. He is 44 caps, 12 goals for his country. I've seen him, a former Parma player. I've seen him in a couple of these saves before go on and do really good things. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Dennis Mann comes on. Can play on the right hand side, can play up front. I think he could be a really nice option for us. And we've also signed this guy who I've never seen before but looks really good, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. A little bit more defensive than we have seen in some of our midfielders before, but he has the player trait of dictates tempo, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for us to get the ball into him and then him to just work us moving forward. We've obviously got Wout Weghorst up top, so I'm hoping he can go through and do really good things for us. If we quick pick without restriction our best 11, this is how the team looks going into season number 5. It is very different than the team that we started with only Dwight McNeil being the only guy to survive. So we've got Altay in goal, Caligari, Collins, Nathan Collins, a Burnley player, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Hanko, is there, Dwight McNeil, Kamara, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Jovic, and then Thiago Thomas and Weghorst up front. We didn't sell any of our players. We've got a couple of players that are wanted. Nathan Collins is wanted by Brighton. Hanko is wanted by Brighton and West Ham. Mady Kamara, again, wanted by Brighton. And then Thiago Thomas is wanted by Leeds. Thiago Thomas now, potentially one of our best players. I'm hoping he can have a nice, big 5th and final season for us. We've got a little bit more depth now, which I'm really happy with. So let's see how this season gets on. In terms of the competitions, though, guys, we enter into the group stage of the Europa bloody League with Burnley. Come on, the Clarets, let's go. The board expectation is to reach the quarterfinals of both cup competitions and finish inside the top half of the Premier League. We have a look at the season preview. Liverpool are favourites. We are expected to finish in 9th. We are 50-1 still to win the Premier League. I don't see that happening, especially with some of the European commitments of playing in the Europa League. So we're guaranteed a minimum of 6 extra games in the first half of the season. I don't know how that squad is going to get on. It's all going to come down to who we get in the draw. But I'm hoping things can go pretty well for us. The board expectation for us is to actually reach the second knockout round of the Europa League. So they expect us to go through the group, but I don't know. I don't know if Burnley can do it. I really don't know. So let's simulate this season. There's a lot of expectation riding on us here in the 5th and final season. So let's see what we can do with it. So guys, I don't really know what to say. This has potentially been one of our worst performances in the Premier League for a couple of seasons, but we've won the bloody Europa League. I cannot believe that I am actually saying this to you. There has been no save scrubbing. There has been nothing else. We've not played a game ourselves. We've won the Europa League, meaning Burnley would be in the Champions League next season. I cannot believe what I've said just there. Burnley in the Champions League. Burnley are going to be in the Champions League. Wow. In some of the other cup competitions, knocked out in the 3rd round by Bristol City and that Carabao Cup, knocked out in the 4th round of the Emirates FA Cup by Arsenal. We'll talk about the Europa League run in just a little bit. The board expectation was mid-table for us and we finished bang in the middle, finished in 10th. Only 6 points off of the European spots again, but obviously the deep run into the Europa League will cause some issues if you don't have that squad depth. -6 goal difference, so we have potentially addressed some of that. Brentford, Fulham, QPR are the teams relegated. QPR relegated with only 15 points is a big yikes. I just had to have a little check to see if we'd lost against them. Luckily we didn't, which is nice. But yeah, in terms of the Premier League, I'm not actually too bothered. I'm actually quite happy as we finish in 10th, which is absolutely crazy. England will have 5 teams in the Champions League: Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United and Arsenal, and obviously ourselves for winning that Europa League. I can just see a result here. Liverpool 7, Burnley 1. Yeah, this Liverpool team's good, isn't it? Alisson, Trent, Bremer, Konate, Robertson, Fabinho, Jude Bellingham, Dominic Szoboszlai, Jota, Mane and Karim Adeyemi. Yeah, that's quite a good team. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. In terms of this Europa League, then let's have a look at the schedule. I know you're all interested in the Europa League just as much as I am. I have no idea how that's happened. So we go into the group stage. We're in a group with Feyenoord, Ludogorets, and HJK, who are from Finland. So that is a team we are expected to beat. We do go through. We win every single group game. Played 6-1-6, which is nice. Then we go through into the knockout stages. The second round is where the board wanted us to get to, which we did do then. So we draw 2-2 away at Monaco and beat them back at Turf Moor 4-2 there. Absolutely smashing it. Some of the signings that I made, Dennis Mann on the goal scoring again, which is nice to see. Then we take on Borussia Mönchengladbach. We beat them 2-1 at home. Wout Weghorst again in the goals. And he scored again in the away leg against Mönchengladbach. Then an all-English semi-final, as we take on Aston Villa. Wout Weghorst, man, do not sleep on this guy. He's an absolute monster. 40 minutes on the goal, and then a 73rd minute goal. Mario Icardi was playing for Villa, which is crazy. But we beat Villa 3-1 at home. Then we go to Villa Park and beat them 2-1 there. Nathan Collins, actually, it's nice to see a real Burnley player getting a goal. And then we go to the final. In the Johan Cruyff Arena over in Amsterdam, we take on Juve and we beat them in extra time, it would look like. Thiago Thomas getting the goal. You know what? We're going to have a look at these goals because you don't always see a European trophy for Burnley, and we've somehow managed to win 2 of them here. So let's load this up, let's drink this in, and let's enjoy what has actually happened. And as Burnley, and fired by Wout Weghorst, have managed to win the Europa League. Satriano into Man, back to Satriano. Is he going to just loft it in the air? And big Wout Weghorst, look at him, he's just so much bigger than everybody else. He's so much bigger, but he scores and puts Burnley into the lead. Ravella then into Pasilak. who fires from distance, and that is awful goalkeeping. I'm not going to lie to you boys, that is from 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, that is some really shocking goalkeeping. We knock the ball out to Dennis Mann on this right hand side. He's running at his opposition, flicks in, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 is there on the volley. This man can do it all. He is potentially one of the best players I have ever seen. It looks like we went to VAR, but it was still counted. Here come Juventus though, I assume Italian champions. Into Rafa, low cross, Rafinha at the far post makes it a Desmond 2-2 after 71 minutes. Then we go 92nd minute here. We go long, Sorrentino into Thiago Thomas. Look at the pace on the young Portuguese man into the penalty area, and he fires it low and he fires it in. Wow, this tie has it all, doesn't it, boys? It absolutely does. 100 minutes in, and we've got the ball again. Kalulu goes into Dwight McNeil, a Burnley OG, into Thiago Thomas, who slots again, getting the job done. Extra time. Looks like we went to VAR again, but it doesn't really matter. We score, and then here come Juve for one last roll of the dice, putting the pressure on. That's awful defending. Holm is in. Dink? No, absolutely thunders it past our goalkeeper, but it doesn't matter. Burnley are Europa League winners. 118th minute for Odin. Odin, that is such a great name. Odin Thiago Thome. Absolutely thunderstrike of a goal, but we get the job done against Juve. I love it. We win the Europa League. We go into the Champions League. If we were to play another season, that would be fantastic, but we're not going to. You guys can though. If you would like to pick up this save and take Burnley into the Champions League, please do so via the Discord link down below. It will be at the top of the description. Come on in. I upload all of my rebuilds into there so that you guys can take things on and carry it on and do better, take them to the next level. And in this case, who wouldn't want to take Burnley into the Champions League? But that's it for today, guys. There will be a playlist popping up just up here if you would like to see some more of the rebuilds. That will take you to the playlist where we've done all of the rebuilds. And if you want to suggest a rebuild for me, please do so down in the comments. But until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you for another rebuild next Sunday.